the legendary king of pop, Michael Jackson, passed away on Thursday, June 25th, 2009 at 2:26 p.m.
15 years after Michael Jackson's death, something terrifying emerged in Neverland's basement. The once magical kingdom, abandoned and silent, has long been the center of controversy, mystery, and myth.
Late this afternoon, the Jackson family said there will be no official viewing here. But what's still unclear is whether Michael Jackson could still be buried here at his beloved Neverland Ranch.
But now, a hidden room, sealed and forgotten, has reignited the chilling aura surrounding the King of Pop's infamous estate. As workers moved through the decaying halls of Neverland, what they found beneath the surface shocked everyone, and it's only the beginning.
When Michael threatened me, I was scared of what was going to happen to me and my family and my son.
You admit to not telling the truth?
Yeah, because he threatened me.
From haunted celebrity mansions and dark legacies to homes no one dares to buy, we're exposing the hidden stories behind luxury estates and the real reason why some doors were never meant to be opened. The Neverland's basement. 15 years after Michael Jackson's death, Neverland Ranch has once again made headlines, but not for the reasons anyone expected. During a quiet renovation deep in the estate's basement, something disturbing came to light. Sealed away and long forgotten, the discovery triggered immediate lockdowns and hushed calls to authorities. Whispers began circulating. Some claimed it was a hidden vault. Others insisted it was something far more sinister. Whatever it was, it revived chilling memories of a home that was always wrapped in shadow, secrecy, and spectacle. But Neverland is just one piece of a larger, stranger truth. Across America, once glorious celebrity mansions are decaying in silence. These were homes built to impress, fortresses of fame with golden chandeliers, indoor theaters, and private spas. Yet many now sit empty, unsold, and slowly falling apart. They aren't haunted by ghosts, but by abandonment, neglect, and the burden of excess. Michael Jordan's palatial Chicago estate, for instance, has remained untouched for over a decade. Despite its basketball court, cigar lounge, and wine cellar, no one wants it. Because these homes are more than expensive, they're monuments to personalities no one else can live inside. And when the spotlight fades, all that's left is silence. Years passed and the property changed hands. But something strange lingered. 15 years after the King of Pop passed away, workers were sent to renovate the old estate, trying to bring it back to life or at least make it marketable again. That's when they discovered something in the basement, something that had been hidden, buried under time and shadows. It wasn't gold records or lost music. What they found was terrifying. A hidden room, sealed off, behind old boxes and rusted equipment. No blueprints showed it. No one knew it was there. When they pried the door open, what they saw inside stopped them cold. The walls were covered with faded posters, strange markings, and childlike drawings. There were cameras, ancient, dusty, disconnected. Shelves lined with worn notebooks and unlabeled tapes. It was like stepping into a forgotten world, a secret space that no one was supposed to find. For years, Neverland had been the center of media storms and court battles. And now, this secret space poured gasoline on the fire. Authorities were contacted and experts were brought in. Everything was cataloged, examined, and questioned. But the mystery only deepened. 15 years after Michael Jackson's death, the world believed it had uncovered every secret. But one creaking door in a quiet, haunted basement suggested otherwise, hinting that the full story might still be buried in the shadows. Some of those shadows stretch far beyond Neverland. The sheer scale of such celebrity properties, paired with their custom-built designs, often turns dream homes into lingering financial nightmares. Mansions that sit unsold for years as fortunes change. Yet it's not just their size or cost that drives buyers away. Sometimes it's the weight of history itself, whispers of tragedy, scandal, or mystery that leaves these estates untouched. Haunted histories and financial woes. Not every mansion on the market sparkles with promise. Some of them cast shadows, deep ones. Behind the iron gates and sprawling lawns, some stories speculate on the walls. Stories of scandal, heartbreak, and darkness. And sometimes, no matter how polished the marble or how grand the staircase, those stories are enough to drive buyers far, far away. Take the infamous La Laurie Mansion in New Orleans. On the surface, it's a stunning piece of French Quarter architecture, rich with history and old-world charm. But step a little closer and you'll feel something colder beneath the surface. In the early 19th century, it was the site of horrifying cruelty at the hands of Madame Delphine Lalaurie. The rumors of tortured souls, unexplained cries at night, and shifting shadows in the hallways have kept ghost hunters fascinated, and most buyers terrified. So when actor Nicolas Cage bought the place in 2007, some thought he was brave, others said he was crazy. Whether he saw it as an investment, a historical curiosity, or a dare to the supernatural, it didn't end well. 2 years later, in the midst of financial trouble, Cage lost the mansion to foreclosure. Nobody rushed to grab it, not even close. Because even if you have the money, who wants to live in a place where the past never really sleeps? But haunted doesn't always mean ghosts. Sometimes it's the kind of haunting that comes from headlines and courtroom drama. Look at R. Kelly's former estate in Olympia Fields. A sprawling 18,000 square foot home once filled with music, luxury, and award trophies, it eventually became a hollow symbol of a career drowned in controversy. At one point, that house was listed for $5 million. $5 million! Yet years passed and no one touched it. Eventually, in 2019, it was sold for just over $1 million. Not because the structure was flawed, not because it lacked beauty, but because no one wanted to carry the weight of what it represented. You see, homes, especially those owned by the famous, don't just carry furniture. They carry stories. And when those stories are twisted with tragedy or scandal, the walls start to whisper. Even buyers with deep pockets start to hesitate. Because no matter how private your estate is, the internet never forgets. Every visitor, every future guest, every neighbor might ask the same thing. Didn't this belong to? And that question can be enough to poison the deal. This isn't just about superstition, it's about legacy. When a home becomes tied to events that shook the public, be it horror, crime, or disgrace, its market value doesn't just dip, it plummets. The mansion could have golden gates, crystal chandeliers, and indoor theaters, but if people feel uneasy walking through the front door, luxury doesn't matter. And it's not just the big names. There are dozens of once lavish celebrity homes sitting quietly, unsold, buried under bad press and public memory. Real estate agents will stage the rooms, light the candles, and spray the air freshener. But even the strongest scent can't mask a past that clings like dust. These homes become monuments, not of wealth, but of warning. They stand as eerie reminders that no matter how high someone climbs, their fall can echo through every hallway. Sometimes the most haunting part of a mansion isn't hidden in the basement, it's the truth that lingers, refusing to be forgotten. But even when a scandal doesn't stain the walls, other forces can make these grand estates nearly impossible to sell. Location, isolation, or simply being out of sync with modern buyers can turn these once coveted mansions into forgotten relics of a different era. Location and maintenance challenges. A jaw-dropping mansion with panoramic views, private beaches, and custom-built features might seem like an easy sell. But even the most extravagant properties can end up sitting quietly, waiting for a buyer who never comes. And the reason isn't always scandal or history. Sometimes it's geography and expense. Two silent deal breakers that no amount of glamour can fix. Let's talk about Kenny Rogers. Known for his soulful voice and timeless hits, he once owned a countryside estate in Georgia that looked like something out of a dream. Rolling hills, horse stables, a private golf course, it was the kind of place you'd imagine retiring to. Peaceful, private, perfect, at least on paper. But its rural setting, far from any major city, proved to be a problem. Sure, it had charm, but charm doesn't pay for maintenance, and when potential buyers realized how far they'd be from restaurants, hospitals, and entertainment, the dream started to fade. Add the cost of keeping a golf course green and horses happy, and suddenly that serene retreat looked more like a burden than a blessing. Celine Dion faced a similar dilemma, just in a very different setting. Her estate on Jupiter Island, Florida was the epitome of extravagance. It didn't just have a pool, it had an entire water park. A lazy river wound through the property, flanked by towering slides and sparkling fountains. For children, it was heaven. For accountants, a nightmare. Keeping all that water moving, clean, and safe came with a staggering cost. And unless you had a full-time staff and endless patience, the idea of living there started to feel less like fun and more like a full-time job. Celine listed the property in 2013 for over $70 million. 4 years later, it finally sold for less than half. Location also plays a crucial role. It's not just about being far from the city. Some of these mansions sit in flood zones, hurricane paths, or areas with strict zoning laws and taxes through the roof. So even if the views are stunning, the risks and costs are quietly waiting in the fine print. It's the hidden side of real estate that no glossy brochure talks about. The lawn needs constant trimming, the staff you have to hire, the systems that break down and cost a fortune to repair. These aren't just homes, they're operations. And unless someone is prepared to run that operation every single day, the dream fades fast. So while the photos may dazzle and the square footage might impress, many celebrity estates struggle to sell for reasons far more grounded. Beauty may draw the eye, but it's sustainability that seals the deal. In the realm of luxury real estate, even the most opulent castles can feel like cages, if no one's willing to carry the keys. And yet, beyond the practical hurdles, there's something deeper at play. Sometimes it's not the plumbing or the price tag, it's the very identity of these homes that turns buyers away. Outdated designs and cultural legacy. Not every mansion loses value because of location or maintenance. Sometimes the trouble lies in the very soul of the home, its design, its style, and the name that built it. Because when a property becomes too wrapped up in the identity of its famous owner, selling it turns into more than a real estate deal. It becomes a reckoning with history, taste, and time. Take Burt Reynolds' beloved estate in Florida, fondly known as Valhalla. It wasn't just a house, it was a personal retreat shaped by a legend. Tucked away behind tall trees and private gates, it had a charm all its own. But the problem, that charm was stuck in the past. Built in the style of the 70s, it featured wood-heavy interiors, vintage tile, and a private movie theater that felt more like a time capsule than a modern luxury. To some, it was nostalgic. To most buyers, it just felt old. And fixing it wasn't simple. Restoring a house that size with those features would cost a fortune. And not just financially, it would mean stripping away what made it uniquely Burt. So, what started as a $15 million listing ended in a quiet $3.3 million sale years later. A steep drop for a home that once echoed with laughter and film scripts. Michael Jackson's Neverland tells a similar story, but on a much larger, more complicated scale. This wasn't just a mansion, it was a full-blown fantasy world. Over 2,700 acres packed with a private zoo, an amusement park, and train tracks winding through flower beds. For a time, it was a dream turned reality. After his passing, it became something else, part tribute, part taboo. Design plays a big role, too. Tastes change. What once screamed opulence now feels heavy and outdated. Sunken living rooms, mirrored ceilings, heart-shaped bathtubs, all once cutting edge, now feel like relics from a distant time. To modern buyers, the thought of living in these spaces means one thing: renovation. An expensive, time-consuming, and emotionally difficult renovation. Because it's not just about changing tiles or fixtures. It's about peeling away layers of history, sometimes beloved, sometimes uncomfortable. And for many, that's too much to ask, no matter how famous the previous resident might have been. So while these homes still sparkle on the outside, their age and their legacy weigh heavily. They're chapters in someone else's story, and unless the next owner is ready to rewrite the book or preserve it entirely, they'll keep sitting, quietly fading into memory. Not for lack of beauty, but because sometimes beauty is the hardest thing to let go of. So what do all these stories tell us? They reveal a truth few want to admit. Fame fades, styles age, and legacies, no matter how grand, can become ghosts that linger in empty rooms. A mansion built to reflect someone's world can end up trapped in that world, unable to move forward. Whether it's Burt Reynolds' aging dream home or the eerie silence of Neverland, these properties don't just hold furniture, they hold memories. Some comforting, others unsettling. And in the most extreme cases, like Michael Jackson's legendary estate, that legacy can take a chilling turn. 15 years after his death, as crews worked to revive what was left of Neverland, something terrifying emerged from its basement. It wasn't just about design or history anymore, it was a reminder that the past has a way of crawling back up to the surface, especially when it's been buried too deep for too long. Behind every mansion lies more than wealth. Sometimes there are secrets the world was never meant to see. From haunted histories to chilling discoveries like the one in Neverland's basement, these homes tell stories that go far beyond fame. So tell us, would you ever live in a house with a dark past, no matter how luxurious it looks?